Okay, it is the final video on alignment. We talked about alignment with self, we talked about alignment with relationships and parenting, and now we're going to talk about alignment with food and body image, the way we view our food and the way we view our body. My degree is in exercise science. A huge part of my life was spent with body image issues, major body image issues that led to disordered eating, straight up full-blown eating disorders, and extreme self-hatred of my body. Extreme. Like, I don't know if you can get much more hateful of your body than I did. This is what I am passionate about, because until we stop expending so much energy on our relationship with food and our relationship with our body, until we can start to get in alignment with these, it drains us. It drains so much of our mental and physical energy and even our spirit, right? It just kills us inside. This is an important part of reclaiming our lives. It's an important part of getting in alignment. So let's talk about it. We have beliefs about food. We have beliefs about our body. And those beliefs you hold, you believe are true. But just because you hold a belief does not make it fact, does not make it truth. And so we hold this belief about food, like I should eat, if I want to lose weight, I need to eat 1,200 calories. And we hold it as fact, as truth. And so anything outside of that is not fact, it is not truth, doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. And we hold whatever we hold as fact. And then our body. I remember a kid at the pool telling me I was fat like his sister. I would have been in middle school. I took that belief, fact, held it as true. And then I kept finding anything that confirmed this belief. Guys didn't want to date me. My clothes were a bigger size than other people, and on and on and on. And I just kept, this good like fact. This fact that I was fat, and fat people don't deserve love, and this, and I'll never be married, and nobody wants to date me, and you're just fat, and if you were skinny it would be better, blah, blah, blah. And I just like created this beautiful bouquet of beliefs about myself that I held as fact, as truth. And the interesting thing about belief is that whatever you believe is true to you. Whatever you believe is true. So if I believe I'm fat, then that is true to me. There is no one, people could tell me I'm not, and it could be true that I'm not even, right? Because the times I thought I was fat, I look back and I was like, you weren't, but it was true that I was. So whatever you allow to be fact in your brain, whatever beliefs you have about food and body that you hold as fact, as truth, those are what you believe. Now, if we think about food, or we think about body, what we find is a lot of our beliefs about food and body are not in alignment with our highest self, are not making it easy to pull in and get ourselves in alignment with our highest self. Because lots of these body beliefs have to do with a self-hatred or a self-disgust, or even your self-disgust with food, right? You eat that and you're disgusted you ate it. This becomes really toxic. This becomes this weight that I'm carrying to try to get myself in alignment with my highest self. But I can't, because I don't believe I'm worth it. Because of my body, because of the food I ate, because of all the food I ate, right? Because of the workouts I didn't do, because of the squishiness of my tummy or the jiggliness of my arms. And you're like, well, maybe you're not so jiggly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've been bigger than this. I've been smaller than this, and it didn't matter. Even when I was smaller than this, I thought I was fat, and it was true. I didn't just believe I was fat. I was fat. It was true. And when I ate that food, I was bad. How many times do you hear women say, oh, I've been so bad today, blah, 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 I ate this. You believe you're bad. And maybe you don't, but the shame, blame, guilt sit in your food beliefs. I feel shameful for what I ate. I'm going to blame myself for having no self-control, and I'm going to feel guilty for what I ate. And we just eat shame, blame, and guilt along with our food. Shame, blame, guilt, shame, blame, guilt. It's toxic. Body. Shame ourselves. If I hate my body, then I'll change my body. Has that worked for you so far? Have you ever hated your body enough to get you in a better body? A better body. A body you think is better. No, you haven't. Because shame, blame, and guilt don't create change. I'm not saying you should just be unhealthy and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is your beliefs that you hold as true are holding you back. This is the weight you don't want to carry. Not this, not this, not your neck, not your chest, not your thighs. That's weight that's on you, but this other weight is in you. This weight of your food beliefs and your body beliefs is in you. And it makes it very hard to feel worthy of getting in alignment with your highest self, because your highest self you don't believe is accessible until you get control of your food and control of your body. But the thing is, this thinking is all wrong and it's all backwards. As we start to discard the beliefs about our body that do not serve us and are just weight, that are not in alignment with our highest self would never tell us how terrible we look. Our highest self would never, ever tell us what a failure we are for what we ate. Yet we do it all the time. So therefore, we're not listening to our highest self. We're listening to our mean biatch self. And we're letting her be in control of what we think and what we do. So my challenge for you this week is to start to uncover these food and body beliefs that we hold as fact. And you might be like, Heather, it is a fact that I am fat. Great. Good. How do you feel about being fat? Right? That might be a fact. Well, I feel shameful. Right? Your feeling is based off of what you believe being fat means about you. So I like to have my clients ask themselves the question, if they're like, well, I am fat. Well, what does being fat mean about you? Well, that I'm not worthy of love and I'm not good enough. Let's start digging, right? And if I believe I'm not worthy of love and I'm not good enough, then can I get in alignment with my highest self? No. I have to start believing that I am worthy and I am good enough. And then it becomes easy to love myself. I don't have to love my body, but I need to be at peace with where I'm at so that I can start to learn to love myself and believe I'm worthy. Because when you believe you're worthy and you love yourself, the changes you want to make, because they're in alignment with your highest self, become easier to make. Not easier to accomplish, right? Easier to make, because I am worthy and I am enough as I am. So I'm not actually striving for my worthiness and enoughness. I'm working hard to transform my body into one that is in alignment with someone who loves their body, which will mean you probably will still have jigglies. You just will, because you're a human, right? You're not a skeleton. And if you're more thin than naturally thin, then maybe you're wanting to put on muscle and you're frustrated that everyone can and you can't. I'm not talking about a perfect ideal body. It's the realization that perfect ideal bodies don't exist. But you're like, but if I could just look like her, you could do everything she does and you're not going to look like her because your body is different. I learned this in my CrossFit years. I could do everything someone else did and not look like them. I have a shorter torso. I have longer legs. I have smaller chest. I grow my bottom area really well. And I always am going to have skin that slaps. I just am. What does it mean about me? Nothing. It means nothing. It doesn't mean I'm not worthy. It doesn't mean I'm not pretty. It doesn't mean I'm not good enough. And I say this as someone who sat in a body this size and believed all of that. All of it so much that I would restrict my calories. It was a game to restrict my calories as low as I could. And guess what? All of that hatred and all of that restriction never gave me a body I loved because I didn't love myself. So even if I had a body that other people would have said, oh, you should love that body, it's great, it wouldn't have mattered because my struggle wasn't for my body. My struggle was for my worthiness. My struggle was for my enoughness. My struggle was for my beauty. And we all know that there are larger women who are beautiful, who own it. So our lack of beauty isn't because of our body. Our lack of enoughness isn't because of our body. Our lack of worthiness isn't because of our body. It's because of our beliefs about our body. And as we start to work on these beliefs about our body, and we start to believe that we are already worthy, and we start to believe that we are already enough, and we start to believe that we get to be who we want to be now, and not when you have the body that you think is perfect. You get to be who you want to be right now. Then it's going to be much easier to start making choices that support you loving your body. Someone who loves themselves doesn't just eat junk food all the time because it makes you feel yucky, right? You feel sick. Not all, like I can put down some junk food, but if that's all I ate all day, I'm gonna feel sick. This isn't about like just love yourself. It's about realizing these things have nothing to do with your worthiness. And as soon as we can start stripping away shame, blame, and guilt, because those are not in alignment with our highest self. Our highest self is not a shamer, blamer, or guilter. And we start talking to ourselves as our highest self will tell us that we're already enough. And then our highest self will also help push us to do the things that are in alignment with who we want to be. And maybe you want to be somebody with a healthier body. And healthier for you might mean a smaller body. That's just the byproduct, right? The byproduct of eating healthier might be that you lose some weight. But if you're worried about being in alignment with your highest self will say, hey, so we're gonna need to go on a walk today because that's who you want to be. You want to be someone who goes on walks. And you're like, no, I don't. I hate walking. Your highest self is like, no, you want to love it. You're like, yeah, I kind of do. Fine, I'll go on a walk. When it comes to food, this non-shaming, non-blaming, non-guilting yourself then allows you, like the second you shame, blame, and guilt yourself for eating that entire cake, how does it serve you? Makes you feel shameful, blamey, guilty, blamey. And people who feel shameful and guilty don't make decisions that are in alignment with their highest self. And maybe your goal is like, hey, I want to be someone who can like eat a piece of cake and like be good about it, like feel good. Like I don't want to feel guilty, and I don't want to feel like I'm just gonna like I have no self-control, because that's what you've told yourself your whole life. And I want to be someone who eats a piece of cake and is like, yeah, that was freaking good, and feels no shame, blame, or guilt. Then you better start acting like that. You better start communicating to yourself when you eat that piece of cake in a way that is not shameful, blameful, or guilting. Because then you'll be like, oh, I can eat a piece of cake and not feel shame, blame, or guilt. But it's the shame, blame, and guilt for eating the one piece that makes you eat the 20. It's the shame, blame, and guilt from the cake that you had for breakfast that makes you eat cake and ice cream for lunch. And then you go to bed and you're like, well, crap, I'm a loser. And then shame, blame, and guilt becomes a vicious cycle. So we remove the shame, we remove the blame, we remove the guilt of body and food. Get in alignment, let your highest self tell you what is true about you. And if you don't know what it is, I will tell you, you are worthy. You are enough. you are beautiful. Any part of you that doesn't believe that is not your highest self. That is the part of you that stories have gotten piled in on. And it's time to start shedding that and get in alignment with your highest self.